So Jason Cruse is lucky enough to be our first one right here. So a little bit of stuff about Jason Cruse. We've got a highlight video we're going to see so you can see him in action. But Jason transferred here from Rio Grande, played 2 seasons for the Eagles. He was here in 98, 99, and 99, 2000, and led the Embry-Riddle basketball team to the national tournament each of those 2 years. That championship year, and these guys might talk about it a little bit later, the championship may have never happened. It almost never happened. Second game of the year, Cruse goes up for a rebound, gets undercut, lands awkwardly, comes down and breaks his arm. Both bones. It's one of the most disgusting injuries I think I've seen ever in our gymnasium. When he walked off the court, it didn't look pretty. But I think the words that he used that night, coaches told the story, he looked at, "Don't worry, coach, I'll be back." So 51 days later, I went and counted it, 51 days later, with a couple of plates and 15 pins, I think, after surgery. Here comes the old left-hander walking over to the scorer's table to check back in that night. And it was right around Christmas break time when he came back and played again. That night, played some limited minutes. The season went on. Every single game after that first one back, he scored in double figures every night the rest of the season, and, of course, led us to the national championship that year. So it was a phenomenal year, a testimony to his hard work and dedication and toughness. But first team All-American, national tournament most valuable player, and the College of Business Student of the Year. So not just a great player, but a great student as well. So one quick quote, and then we'll go to the highlight video. This quote comes from, interesting, the person who gave this quote as part of his Hall of Fame nomination, the opposing coach from the national championship game. The guy that we beat to win the national championship. I knew going into the game that the key to beating Embry-Riddle was to stop Cruse. He had basically been a man amongst boys the entire tournament, and that was definitely true against us. We just couldn't find a way to stop him. He ended up with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Jason was not only a great basketball player, but he was also a class act on and off the court. That's from Al Waller, head coach of the College of the Ozarks, and I think Al, he nailed it right there. Jason was a phenomenal player, but a great person off the court as well. So let's watch his video, and then we'll have his presenters come up here momentarily.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Get ready to rumble!
Pump up the jam, yo, pump it up, yo, pump it. Y'all ready for this?
Jason Cruse was cold as ice. He knew the game inside and out. It was a pleasure and an honor playing with him and being able to win a national championship with him. Off the court, great guy. We had a lot of fun times, great memories, but that sums up Jason Cruse, cold as ice.
The end of our regular season didn't go so well. We lost the last 3 games. Our first game at home, we come out after losing 3 games completely flat. I remember vividly to this day. It's the changing moment of our season. I come to the huddle and say something stupid like, "Oh, here we go again." Jason immediately grabs me by the chest and says, "No, we're not going to lose this game." We didn't lose that game, and we didn't lose again. Can't say enough about Jason Cruse, one of the best players that ever played for Embry-Riddle, one of the best players I've ever played with.
Without question, he was the most valuable player. He was the separator on our team. And our guys respected him, not just what he did on the floor, but off the floor. When you're picking guys to be in the foxhole with, there's no question he's the one you want to be having in your foxhole. He's a winner, outstanding person, really special player, and certainly one heck of an inductee to the Hall of Fame here at Embry-Riddle.
Pump it up,
The 25 breaks a couple of tackles. And look at him go! And look at him go! He could.
The presenters tonight to talk about Jason Cruse. I'm not sure how these two guys got picked, but they're the point guards. But Jan Price is usually kind of in charge. He was one of the senior captains. He got to pick the starting five, and he got to pick the team. And these two guys got picked to represent the team tonight. So the point guards for Jason Cruse, Austin Brownlee, Ryan Rothrock. We'll talk about our Hall of Fame inductee, Jason Cruse.
Jason Cruse. He's got a little better haircut today than back in the day. But what can you say about Jason Cruse? Jason, JP stole some of our thunder. Ryan and I were looking at each other and saying, he said all the stuff we were going to say. But Jason, Jason in one word is a competitor. And he is the ultimate competitor. And so, I look at Jason, and Jason came. I was a senior when Jason transferred in. We had 4 seniors on that team, and Jason right away stepped in and had a leadership role. He was not shy about saying, give me the ball. And as a point guard, you got to love it. You give him the ball, he's going to score. You give him the ball, he's going to score again. And so Jason was a joy to play with. And Dr. Holbrook, you made a statement earlier, and I'm glad to hear that statement at the highest level at this university, the student, person, player. That is what epitomizes this athletic association, especially the basketball program. And Jason was first and foremost a great student. Yes, he transferred in, he played 2 years, but he left in 2 years with a degree, and he also left at the highest level of that program with the outstanding business administration degree. Jason Cruse was the guy in that program from a student's perspective. Next, you talk about a person, an unbelievable person, a guy that is a natural-born leader. People follow Jason Cruse because he's a winner. He's going to outwork you, and he's going to go and win, no matter what he's doing, whether it's on the basketball court, in the classroom, in business, and in life. And that's special. And as a person, he cares about the people around him. And I was fortunate enough after my senior year to stay on as a coach, and I watched that 99-2000 team compete and play from a distance. And what was so special about that team, and you talk about, we've got student athletes in here tonight, why was that team able to win a national championship? Did they have great players? Yes. Did they have a great coach? Absolutely. But what was special? They had a leader on the court, and that was Jason Cruse. He refused to lose, and those players around him rallied around him. And it didn't matter if you were the best player, in that case Jason Cruse, or the guy that was filling up the water bottles. Jason Cruse was their best friend, and he cared about them, and he believed in them, and he wanted to see them succeed. And that team, watching that team, was awesome. They were very special, and they got to the highest level and won a national championship, not because they were the best players on the court, but because they were great people, and they had a great leader in Jason Cruse. And not only that, now, as we look back, and you got student athletes here, and you think, I'm going to graduate, what am I going to do life after basketball? I've got the great honor to work with this guy, and I've worked with him for the last 10 years, and as a colleague, and a business professional, and what he brings to the table. And then not only that, as a friend, and the friendship that we have that will last forever, no matter what each one of us do. And I got to spend some time with guys that flew in from all over the country to see this guy inducted to the Hall of Fame. And it's the friendship that, more than anything that he did on the court, is better than anything he's ever done. And I appreciate you and everything you've done, and you earn everything. And your family, and most importantly, this guy has an unbelievable family. He's got 5 kids. Why don't you kids stand up real quick? Stand up and everybody give them a round of applause. and an unbelievable wife in Kim. And what he does and what he puts first, he puts that family first. Everything that he does, family's first. And you kids have an unbelievable dad. Unbelievable dad, special dad, and something to look up to. And I'm proud of you, and you've earned everything that you've got, and love being your friend. Thanks.
JC, Cruse. I'm not as professional as Austin, and I need to probably learn some things from Austin. I have over the course of my career working with him, and I obviously just learned a few tips just now, but this is going to be a little more personal probably. Let me tell you about the first time I met Jason Cruse. I came in for a recruiting visit in the spring of 1999, I guess it was, and I don't know where Jason was, but he was not in the gym. So he's probably in the weight room or back in Ohio or doing something. So the first time I met him was 2 days on campus in August. And it was the first day of school, and it was about 3 o'clock, and it was time to get in the gym and lace him up and go at it, day one, right? I didn't even know who he was. And we were going about a half hour, and Coach Ritter came into the gym and just tore into us. Said, nobody in here is playing hard. This is a bunch of crap. If you guys think we're going to be good this year, you're fooling yourself. And Jason stood up and said, this point guard you brought in, Coach, he's dogging it. And I probably was. And he and I only know the reason why I was. And we'll just keep it between the two of us. So that's how I was introduced to Jason, a leader. And that's what he was demonstrating to me at that moment right there is you're not going to come in here right away and be somebody. This is my senior year, and we're going to do something special, and we did. Jason, when I got on campus, he was the biggest guy on our team physically. Well, Heath is here, so I'd probably say he's the second biggest guy. But he probably worked a little harder in the weight room. No offense, Heath. and he was built, right? He was ready for his senior year. There's no question about that. And as JP mentioned a minute ago, he came down awkwardly because most big guys don't know how to fall the right way. And he broke his arm halfway through our second game of the year. And Austin and I were looking at it this morning. He missed 13 games straight. And Jason handles things his way, right? We went to Maine about a month later. That was our big trip. Great pick, Coach. Went to Maine. And Jason didn't go with us. It was kind of interesting, right? My first year on campus, our senior leader next to Jan didn't even come. And he handles things his own way. He wanted to get away from it because he had spent so much time preparing for his senior year to make an impact on this team, which he obviously did. And it was devastating to him to break his bone, in 2 bones, in just the second game of the year. So I guess it was 51 days later, right? He broke it on November 8th, and he came back on New Year's Eve, and he played basketball. Think about that. That's insane. And he had a soft cast going. We looked at the stats. He didn't score a point that game. But he came off the bench, and he only played a few minutes. The next night, he scored 15, and from then on, he was double digits every single night. I don't know what happened that game back. You came back. I didn't give you the ball. We didn't run dribble enough that game. But my gosh, let's listen to these things. So I think JP mentioned it. We had a good year, obviously, but we hit a wall somewhere towards the end of the regular season and lost the last 3 games of the regular season, which was a wake-up call, obviously, for that team at that point. And that meant we had to go on the road to win a conference championship just to get into the national tournament, and we went to Palm Beach. And that's the second time that I was introduced to leadership by him and by Jan Price. It was in the championship game against West Palm Beach. And Jason proceeded to go for 22 and 15 that night and lead the team. Gave me a headbutt along with Jan after I got teed up, and showed me what it meant to be a leader and to win games. And then we obviously went to Branson and had success there. And in the championship game, when everything was on the line, Jason went for 23 and 7 and 6 assists, as JP mentioned, almost had a triple-double. And I can tell you, coming out of the locker room, Coach and I were pretty in sync throughout that year, but I had no idea how in sync Jason and Coach were. As a point guard, I probably should have known that, but the ball was going to Jason from the first play throughout the entire game, and it did. And he carried us to a championship, a national championship, which was awesome. As Austin and Dr. Holbrook mentioned, student person player, I mean, he was the business student of the year in the 1999-2000 academic year, the business student of the year out of the entire Embry-Riddle business class. He was, as JP mentioned, the MVP of the national tournament in Branson, Missouri, out of 170-some schools in the NAIA. He's first-team All-American, and he only spent 2 years here. And I might be biased, but I would tell you from only spending half of that time with him while he was here, I think out of a 2-year player, he made the biggest impact on this university out of any 2-year player in the history of this athletic program. And so with that, Austin and I are both honored to ask you to come on up here as we induct you into the Hall of Fame.
All right, I have 8 minutes, so I'm going to try to be as quick as I can. But getting back to you, JP, where you said, you know, you didn't really know how to pick my 2 point guards. A couple things. The email came out. We had 1 minute, so that automatically eliminated Coach Ritter. Okay. Then I was thinking back. You know, the logical thing would be my co-captain Jan Price and my roommate and co-captain my senior year, or yeah, as I was thinking about it, I was like, well, you know, the first basketball lesson I learned was in the 4th grade. Prior to the 4th, I started playing in the 2nd grade, but prior to being in the 4th grade, yeah, you just rolled the ball out, and you had coaches, but not really. They'd let you run up the court. You didn't really have to dribble or anything. So it really got serious in the 4th grade, and I had a 4th grade coach named John Tribbiano. I played with his son, John Tribbiano Jr., who happened to be the point guard. And, you know, so the Coach Tribbiano pulled me over first practice and said, hey, listen, you're a big guy, okay? There's one lesson I want you to know. You got a lot of talent. You're going to be really good, but always take care of your point guards. You know, take care of them. They're going to take care of you. You're going to need them to get you the ball. So as I was thinking who could induct me, I thought, you know, it's got to be my point guard. So I couldn't choose one over the other. They're both great friends, colleagues, mean the world to me. I've known them for 15, 20 year, and probably talk to them, if not daily, weekly. So thank you guys for your kind words. And, you know, like I said, I could have had Coach up here, I could have had Jan up here, but had to use my first basketball lesson. So that's that. But, you know, I want to start off by thanking, first of all, my mother. Mother and father, you know, as you get older, you kind of reflect, or I do anyway, I reflect back to, you know, how you get to where you are and the different, you know, character that you have and you know, what makes you who you are today. And, you know, I was fortunate enough that I had parents and grandparents that really cared for me and set a great foundation. And, you know, growing up, you know, even if we had to, you know, my parents worked extremely hard. Even if they had to work overtime to get me to a basketball camp, they'd make sure it happened. So I want to thank you for everything that you did for me growing up. And, you know, and the other thing is, you know, I was the middle son. There's three boys that my mother and father raised. So I was the middle son, and you know, we tend to be the troublemakers. So, you know, she's either breaking up a fight between me and my older brother or me and my younger brother. And, you know, so I was a little handful to raise. But, you know, then I got married to my wife, Kim, and now she's kind of raising me. So I give her a little bit of a hard time, too. So I want to thank you. And it's funny, basketball meant the world to me growing up, and I'd always joke to everybody saying, yeah, when I get older, I'm gonna have 5 kids, and you know, I'm gonna have them out there. We're gonna run plays. You know, you can't have a basketball team without 5 kids, and ironically enough, I have 5 kids. So 2 of them are stepkids, and the youngest 3 are my biological kids, but love them all the same. 4 of them are here today. So Chris, if you could stand up. Chris is 20. You know, he's fortunate to work. He works with Richard over at the Kia dealership, and he's been a great kid. I've been with him since he's been 4, and he's not only my son, but he's a really good friend of mine too. So then we have Connor's 13. Stand up. He's going to be a ball player, so you know, just might want to get on him early, coach. And just a great kid, super smart, super proud of him. He just does a great job with everything. He's got a heart like his mother. Now this next one here, Carson, stand up. Turn around, let everybody see you. He is, he's a little bit like me, so he's the one where you got to raise every day and keep an eye on him. But he's got some swagger to him, and he's a player. So get on him, but he's the player, and he's a pretty good student. We got to make him the person. So, and then Maddie, she's 9. You're going to be 9 in February. You're going to be 9 in February. I'm trying to give you credit. All right? So she's 8. In 3 weeks, she'll be 9. I'm sorry. So turn around. She is she's like me in a lot of ways, because when she plays sports, she's real competitive. She's pretty cutthroat. She's the most competitive kid we have, and I think it's probably having 2 older brothers that never let her win anything. But she's great. So you can go, Maddie. So yeah, like I said, basketball just meant so much to me, and you know, I think back to how I got here and the decision to transfer down here, and just kind of how all that played out, and it's probably the best decision I ever made, without a doubt, because it's gotten me in a lot of ways to where I am today, and made me the person that I've become. So, you know, when Coach called me, today is a day that I really never thought would come, even though Coach would probably say otherwise. But I felt like I got inducted in 2009. I mean, I was here 2 years, really only played a year and a half because I missed half a season. And our team went in. We won the national championship my senior year. So I already thought I was in the Hall of Fame, and I am, and that's what means a ton to me. And so when Coach called me, I knew he'd appreciate it, and he and John Phillips called me and said, "Hey, you know, you're on speakerphone. You know, you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and you know, I'm here with Coach Ritter." And I could tell I was on speakerphone, so I said, "Hey, is Coach still here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Coach, I got a question for you." I said, "That's great." You know, he said, "Yeah, what is it?" I said, "What the hell took so long?" But really joking about that, because honestly, you know, I had a great career here, but again, it was a year and a half, and again, I was in the Hall of Fame. That meant tonight means a ton, but going in with your brothers and your teammates meant a ton as well. So anyway, it's a fantastic honor. But you know, some things on that championship team. You know, a lot of them are here tonight, and I can't tell you how much that means to me that you guys showed up. A lot of you traveled a long way to be here, and it speaks volumes to the bond that team had and our friendship. So I really, really appreciate it, guys. And we're going in together, because without you guys, I wouldn't be up here. So thank you. You know, reflecting back, I think sometimes over my career, I remember when I came down for a visit, I gave Coach a call, and I knew I was going to transfer, and he had Coach Rob Graham, pick me up. And, you know, I was just a raw kid. I just wanted to play basketball, you know. And he picked me up. I think I got in at like 10 a.m., and they're going to bring me back to, you know, work out and stuff. And so Coach Graham picked me up, and I think I was in slickies and a cut-off T-shirt. And Coach Graham looked at me and said, "Would you work out today?" And no, I'm just here to play some ball, man, you know. But it was funny. And then, you know, I get into the gym, and Coach, we play some one-on-one with some guys I think that had graduated, and then start playing some pickup ball. And it just, I met some of the guys, and I remember that day I walked in and saw Heath. I thought, man, this guy, my goodness, biggest dude I'd ever seen in my life. But so I was glad to be on his team. But yeah, it was a great experience during that visit. And you know, one common thing came out though in talking to former players and current players. I remember Austin Brownlee and a few of the guys on the team took me out after we had played that evening to I think we went to the Inlet Harbor, I think that night, if you remember that. And the common theme was, yeah, we had a great year and we won X amount of games, and they were just raving about Coach Ritter and saying, man, we won 3 games that we shouldn't have. And I found that, it was just different from what I was used to. And I respected the fact that they had believed in him that much. And I just kind of knew that there was something special here. And then I can't remember which player it was. It was a former player said, I've made some bad decisions in my life, but the best decision I ever made was to come to Embry-Riddle. So that kind of really just made my decision, as hard as it was to leave Ohio at a young age, where I felt young as a college, and kind of roll the dice and come down here. I felt good about the situation I was getting in and the people I was going to be around. So, that was really how it played out. And on top of that, I got a great education that's really opened some doors for me. And I can't say enough about this great university. And before I wrap up, I want to thank. There's so many people I could thank, but Sharon Amick, she and Kenny, they really took care of me, and whether it was getting me to the airport to go home to see my family, or picking me up, or keeping me employed, so I keep some change in my pocket, was just always there. So I really appreciate that. And we could go years without seeing one another, but as soon as we reconnect, it's like we haven't missed a day. So I really appreciate that. The training staff. I don't know if Justin White's here, but Sherry Hilscher and Justin White. I mean, I wouldn't have been back if they didn't do a great job of rehabbing me and making sure that I could make it back. So I'm really appreciative of them. And I could go on and on, but again, I have 8 minutes. So everybody, a lot of you are here tonight. Just really impacted me in my life and made my stay here fantastic. So thank you for that. And wrapping up with Coach, man, I think the world of you, and we have a special friendship and bond, and you're a great mentor, and I appreciate the fact that you allowed me to be part of the program, and because it's a privilege. It really is to be a privilege into something special. So thank you for that. And what you did here was you inspired me to be the best. And it wasn't just on the court. It was as a person, as a student, and you get the most out of me as a player. So I really think that, thank you for that. And it's just a tremendous honor, very humbling, and I appreciate being a part of the Hall of Fame family. Thank you.